I got bad news. It's summer. At least here in the good old land of Oz. Yep, the sun is out, flies are out, and I'm just getting sunburned all the ding dong damn time. And before you ask, yes I am wearing sunscreen. Doesn't matter what I wear though. SPF 1000, still gonna happen. I resign myself to it by never going outside again. And speaking of flies, when are they gonna get that this needs to fuck off? But yeah, I thought it would be a good time to tell you a story about another time I got sunburned. Didn't happen in December though. Happened in June. How, you may ask? I wasn't in Australia. That's an easy answer. It was 2011? 12? 2001 of those. And I was in New York. Me and my good friend, we traveled there together. Just us, just no parents, just adventuring teens? 20s? 19, I think I was 19 at the time. We sort of traveled there for travel's sake, but at the same time I do have quite a few internet friends that I had made who live in the area, so I thought it was a good time to catch up with all of them. Hence begins the tragical comedy or comical tragedy that is me, and all of my travel disasters. Am I sunburned now? So one of these friends lives in the good old land of Jersey. It's New Jersey. They lived in New Jersey. We sort of planned the trip for me going from New York to New Jersey a couple days before it happened. So when the day finally came, I was so excited I left like 2 hours early. And then I had to buy my special ticket to catch a special train to make the trip to what was pretty much end of the line New Jersey. So because I got there so early, it was a lot of waiting around. I assumed I wouldn't be able to find where it was. I found where it was really quickly. But eventually the train came, I got on it, and everything was great. For like 15 minutes. See, the problem with me is that I'm not the best at directions or instructions or just traveling in general. So something's usually gonna go wrong. The guy at the train station even circled stuff on the timetable being like, this is where you get off, this is where you have to change, okay? This is what you have to do. I stayed on the train too long. I don't know where I ended up, but I knew it was the wrong place and I knew I had to have gotten off the one stop before. And I also had a train to catch. The train lady there was very helpful. She was like, this is the train you have to get back. Make sure you get off there, you idiot. So I got back, I missed my train, and they said that the next one was going to be in an hour. So I was kind of bummed because it meant an hour that I wasn't going to get to spend with my friend. So it was another hour of just me walking around the train station. This one guy kept asking me if my hair was real. Another time where I was sitting down on one of the benches and this very serious looking businessman sat down next to me. And he had his headphones in and I could hear it because it was playing quite loudly, and I sort of like leaned over and it's just... he was playing Call Me Maybe. 2012! It was 2012! 2012! Yes! He was listening to Call Me Maybe very loudly. But then I must have, I think I must have visibly leaned over because it instantly changed to gangster rap. Should never be ashamed of your music tastes. So I eventually got on the train and everything's fine. I sort of was reading my book. We ended up in a town called Raritan, and that's where I found out that this train didn't go to the Balls End of New Jersey where my friend lived. No, it stopped at Raritan and then it went back. So I had to make a choice. I got off at Raritan and found out the next train that was going through there that would end up going to where I needed to go was coming in 2 hours. So I had to spend 2 hours in Raritan. Let me tell you a little thing about Raritan. There's nothing there. There was a train station there, some suburban houses, and after like a 15-minute walk, a convenience store that was like this big. And of course I went there because I had 2 hours to spare. So I bought some chips from the convenience store, walked the 15 minutes back to the train station and proceeded to wait the hour and a half I still had for the train to come. I made one mistake and it cost me 3 hours of my life in travel expenses. I can't even tell you stories about the train station because no one was there. No one lives in this one convenience store town, and if you do live in there, I'm very sorry. But eventually the hour and a half passes and the train finally arrives, and I get on the train and arrive in New Jersey at the right station. I get off at the stop and I have to make the trip to the little town where my friend will be meeting me. Thing is, as you may have guessed, I've never been in New Jersey before. So I had to follow instructions. So I start walking down this one road. I'm walking down there for a pretty long time. Still just sort of like reading through these instructions, hoping that I'm getting them correct. When all of a sudden, a deer just jumps in front of me. A deer! And hey, I'm sure that in New Jersey, deer are available in every corner drugstore, but here in Australia, they're a little harder to come by. So here's me just sort of like walking along, and here's the deer! Before I could even see where it went, it had disappeared. It was that fast, that strong, that big. It could have killed me. And I'm pretty sure it was trying to. So I kept going along down the road, and eventually I spot my friend who's walking towards me. And it's the best thing ever! I finally did it! I finally made it to New Jersey, where my friend is, and we're gonna hang out, and it's the best thing ever. And we do hang out, and it's so good. We went, we hung out, we bought root beer floats. So we hung out for like the whole day, and because I had showed up so late compared to what time I said I would arrive, I stayed a little bit longer. I had my timetable still, and the timetable said, yes, there will be a train, the exact train you need to get back to New York, and it's gonna get there at 6:30. It's gonna get there. This train that is going to New York. So me and my friend had a really, really great time that day. It was so fun. It was amazing. It was the best ever. But eventually I did have to leave. My friend had to leave. She had to go back home. So I'm waiting at the train station for the 6:30 train that is definitely coming, because my timetable says it is. The exact train you need to get back to New York, and it's gonna get there at 6:30. About 45 minutes later, I start to question if this train's actually coming. There was a man there. I think he looked like a train officer person, someone I could ask about this missing train. So I went up to him and I said, excuse me, when is the next train to New York happening? And he was like, there isn't one. The last one happened at like 4 o'clock. So I show him the timetable I have, and I'm like, it says right here. It says right here, 6:30 is going to be one.
6:30.
And he looks at me and he says, oh no, that one is leaving from Raritan. So I'm like, what do I do? And he says, I don't know. You can go to Raritan, I guess, and catch a train from there. Thing is, Raritan is quite far away and I don't have a car. So I end up calling my friend and her relatives that we're staying with. So I end up calling my friend and her relatives that we're staying with, and they tell me that I can't stay there, obviously. I need to catch a taxi back there. I need to catch a taxi to Raritan, and from Raritan, catch a train back to New York. So I'm sort of planning to do that, but while I'm doing that, I'm sitting in a little train station bench undercover area. And these other guys come up to me in cleaning suits, and they come up to me and they're like, I'm sorry, you have to move. We're actually cleaning this whole area right now using, chemicals and stuff like that. You can't stay here. And I looked at him and I said, just out of curiosity, how often do you do this? And he looked at me and he said, oh, I don't know, like once, maybe twice a year. And I just... yeah. So I called a taxi, hoping I have enough money to cover this monstrous trip. Eventually he shows up, and by the time he gets here, I've already resigned myself to the fact that I am going to bitch about my travel day to him. So, sit in the taxi, it's a really long trip, and he's like, oh, how you been? And I just unload him. This happened. My friend was awesome, we hung out, and it was really, really great. But then this happened, and he looks at me and he's like, that sounds awful, I'm so sorry you had such a bad day. And I'm like, no, it's fine, what about you? How's your day been? And this man proceeds to tell me about his work life, pretty much. This taxi driver works 20 hours a day. And I'm like, when do you sleep? And he was like, in the 4 hours, sort of, in little breaks. I'm like, when do you eat? When do you live? What do you do with all this money? And he says he's sending it back to his family in another country. And I'm like, dude, I have nothing to complain about. I'm sort of just driving along, I'm chatting with my saint of a driver. Eventually get to Raritan. By the time I'm in Raritan though, it's 9 p.m. The sun is gone. It is pitch black in the sky, and the train station is only lit up by these very shady overhanging lights. And my next train is coming in 50 minutes. But don't worry, because I had entertainment this time. There were hooligans, like legit hooligans, just hanging around the train station, not really close to where I was. There was like a building far off. There was a man and a woman, and they were sort of sitting together, minding their own business, and there were these kids with hoodies, and they were just messing with these people. They kept running up and banging on the bins next to them when they weren't there. The guy got like really angry, trying to get up and like yell at them, and then they're all like running off, hiding around the thing. They start swearing at it. One of them, they were like running away, and one of them looked over to me, who foolishly decided to stand in one of the light things. I see this shadowy figure just turn and wave at me, and I'm like, don't kill me. Then the police showed up. The guy must have called them, I guess. And so I see these hooligans sort of run off into the distance. The police are out. One of them, I think, goes to chase them. The other one's talking to the couple. I'm just standing here at Raritan Station, hoping to survive the night, basically. The train shows up, and I'm so relieved. I get on the train, give them my ticket, sit down, and just sort of sit and make sure I get off at the right stop. I'm staring at my timetable, and I'm like, alright, we're here now, we're gonna get here, we're gonna get here. That's the one I have to get off at. Not this one, not that one, this one. I have to get off at this one. I get off at the right stop. And then I get on the next train, and I get to the proper New York station. I'm back in New York. I know where I am. It's great. But I still have to catch the subway. So, by this time, it's about midnight. I'm standing around in New York subway, where my train that I normally get to go home usually arrives. I'm sort of standing there. It's not arriving. It's all different trains. There's a woman next to me, and I'm like, excuse me, where is this train? And she's like, oh, after like, you know, a reasonable time for everyone to have gone home, all those trains are on this platform instead. You'll have to go there. And I was like, okay, thank you. I'll go there now. And she was like, oh, you should come to my art show. And I was like, I mean, okay. So I go to the right platform, get on the right train, get off at my stop, near where, you know, near where we're staying. I get off, I'm walking. It's 1 a.m. by this point. I'm walking in pitch blackness in a not fantastic area of town. And I get to where we're staying, and I go up to the door, I knock on it, my friend opens the door, takes one look at me and just says, how are you not dead? I have no idea what to tell her. And after all this, you know, I walk inside, go to the room, I get changed, I look in the mirror and realize that I'm just burnt everywhere. That's the story of the time I got sunburned in New Jersey. I'm sorry if you live in Raritan. Not because I said anything bad about it, I'm just sorry you live there.